everyone. Welcome to the latest installment of MSP Business School. I'm Brian Doyle.
I'm Tim McNeil.
And I'm Rob Rogers.
And Rob Rogers could not be happier today.
Yes.
He's going to tell us about his new toy. Not surprising, Rob's a couple weeks late to this party, but he has now jumped in, and we are excited because we're going to talk a little bit about how you can use ChatGPT as part of your sales process today. But Rob is like a little kid right now because he's just rolled up his sleeves and he's started playing with it. So, Rob, tell us what you're up to.
Okay, so okay. First off, I think this AI stuff is going to be bigger than computers. I think it's going to be bigger than the printing press. I think AI is going to be the next evolution in how the world works. I think it's that big. And so I've been working with ChatGPT, and I bought the paid version so I can get the 4.0 and we can get faster and more queries, and we're always in there. And I'm using it for several different things, business related and sales related and non-sales related as well. First, the non-sales related stuff. Brian, check this out. So I do trading sometimes, right? Stocks. And I use TD Ameritrade, and it has its own proprietary software that you can go in and say, buy here, sell here, track this, and all that kind of stuff. I went into ChatGPT and I said, build me a script that, buys at the top of this band and the bottom of this band and sells at 10 cents and buys back at 12 cents. Thing just spit out an entire proprietary coding system. I stuck it into Thinkific, or not Thinkific, Thinkorswim, the TD Ameritrade thing, and it popped out. I haven't coded in 15 years, and boom, it just spit right out. It's amazing. That blew me away. Blew me away, Brian.
Yeah, we've used it on our side for some code snippets as well for certain things. A lot of times we'll ask it some questions to get some code to model against when we're building out integrations and stuff, because it's, again, the free version of GPT only goes up, as many listeners know, till I think 2021 is where
September 21.
It's information. So some of that code could be a little bit older too, but it is an amazing tool for a variety of reasons. And certainly, one of the biggest areas that we've been hearing about, the AI opportunity has been in the world of marketing and sales.
Yeah.
It's
go ahead.
I was just going to say we've got a number of clients where part of the salespeople that we manage, their role is also to create emails, right? We help them do that.
Yep.
But we have more and more clients who are starting to use this just to start. It's not an end all be all, but it's a great starting point. And then they adjust a couple of sentences and they've got a sustainable email that they can put into an automation chain or whatever that might be. And it is insanely fast.
And that's one of the things that I'm amazed, from a personal levels, just how fast it can give you. I consider the stuff that I'm pulling from, the AI that I'm using and as rough draft material. Like, it goes and gets me 90% of what I'm looking for, and then I've got to go put the wrapper around it to make it ours. But I will say this, the thing I hate more than anything in life is writing. I went to school for, I'm going to shame myself here, but I was a communication major back in school and fell into computers at a later date. And I was that because I figured out very early.
Business degree.
Yep, I figured out very early that, you mean most of my assignments are just presenting? Well, that's a snap. Now, the good news, it prepared me for a life of being in sales, but left out a few other things. But all kidding aside, I do not like writing. I really do not like writing,
Hate it.
At all. And the sheer volume of marketing writing that we all have to do these days is overwhelming, right? So, I don't mind if I'm writing something that's very specific and to the point, but, for some of the things that we have to do these days, for building email chains, for things like that, help get me 3/4 of the way there, and then I'll put the polish on it. And that's what I've been loving about AI.
Here's what I like about the program. I am a bullet point type of fella. I'm a high D, high I, if you're thinking about the DISC profile. And I think in bullet points, but you can't write in bullet points. Most people don't want that. So I put the bullet points in there of what I'm trying to say, and then say, give me 100 words on this. And then then I was like, okay, there's 100 words. It pops it back out, and I say, make this more fun, make it more informative, make it more conversational, and it completely changes everything for you. You don't have to go back and try and do everything. Then you have something where you can mold it to where you're looking to do. But it does all the work. Then you copy and paste it, send it out, and then start working on it from there. It just saves hours and hours, especially for somebody like me who is a terrible writer. I hate it. Like, you went into communications, I went into science because I couldn't stand writing. Couldn't stand it.
Oh, God.
Hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not in the forte. Now, I will say this, where it extends out a little bit too, for those of you that might be using virtual assistants as well. This is a great tool for, or these tools can be great for when you're looking for a virtual assistant to take on more load. So for example, I've got a virtual assistant that helps me out with some things. And what I have taken to doing now is spending the time and writing the right prompts for her. So making sure
What does that mean?
So the prompt. So again, I use a tool, you're using ChatGPT on the paid version. I use a tool called Jasper AI. And one of the things I like about Jasper AI, it's really geared towards the marketing conversation. So there's a lot of different templates in there, templates to do different frameworks like, AIDA, and then Business Bridge, and the PASS framework, which is problem, agitate, solution. So you can kind of really generate different types of, blogs that way, if you will. It's got paragraph generators. You can do mini video sales letters, one-shot landing pages, all kinds of cool stuff they're templated out for. But behind each one of these, you have to do some sort of prompt. And depending on, whether it's a blog article or something like that, it could be putting in, the name of your company or the product that you're representing that you want to put in there. And then it's a short summary of what you want to do. So writing hasn't been totally eliminated in this process because you have up to 1,500 characters, at least in my tool, to write a prompt. But it actually works out pretty well. Like, just before this call, we were doing one for sales maturity as an example. So, the three of us were doing it just to kind of play with it. And, I put in something very simple about sales maturity being an on-demand coaching tool. It provides you with a self-assessment so you can see exactly where you stack in the world of sales maturity today. And then ultimately, based on that, it drips you different categories of documents. And I put it in there using the AID, or no, excuse me, the problem solution, agitate solution format. And what was inside of about a minute and a half, 90 seconds, we had 3 different 400 per word options on how to approach that. And what impressed me is it went out and did some research too. And, I think that's one of the areas where Jasper's put a little bit more into their AI. I'm sure GPT's got a part in the underlying engine. But, basically they've gone in and said, hey, we're going to go out and take a look at your site. We're going to look at other things in there, and we're going to incorporate that language into the language we're putting based on your prompt as well. And lo and behold, now I have some options, and those options are just different enough that I can take bits and pieces of each option and really build a longer form article, right? So, that's really what the prompt's all about. It's giving them, idea. And one of the other things it asks you about is tone of voice too. So if you're doing something that's, you're trying to do that catchy email, it's got subject lines and it's got the ability to put in, hey, I want this to be a witty email to capture somebody's attention. But then you can build, if it's going to land you to a blog article, you can take that blog article that it's linking to and make it more conversational, informative, instructive, whatever you're looking to do. And that's where I think this stuff's sick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to me, that's probably the best part of it. Right? Because to your point, a blog is different than an email, which is different than a newsletter. I mean, being able to create a different tone just like that. I mean, the 3 options that it spit out for you before we started taping this, they were all like legitimate starters.
And, I'll be honest, they're better than what I can write. They take on different tone, and that's not my natural tone.
Yeah, I will say that, because just so everybody knows, we had a competition. We wanted to see who had a better output. did ChatGPT have a better output, or did Jasper, with the sentence that Brian just did? And although ChatGPT was faster, Jasper had 3 different options it gave you, and it was more in depth and researched. Like the ChatGPT was a generic version, and it was right on point. But it didn't have, some of the, verbiage from the site. This stuff is amazing, man.
Yeah.
This stuff is amazing.
But where
There's a
ChatGPT
surprising amount
really,
of detail there.
Yeah.
and where ChatGPT really works, where a Jasper wouldn't work. Rob, you just talked about your code example. People that are looking to do little tasks or create code snippets or things like that all day long, the tool's great for that.
Yeah.
The tool's great as a search engine in some cases too. So if you want to get something with a little bit more detail, then they're calling it the Google Buster. I don't know about that, because
I'll tell you,
put in
Brian,
the right search in Google, you usually get the right answers too. But
no, so listen to the search that I did. We're trying to do on Fridays, have a no foxes Fridays, right? For some of our marketing stuff. It's just something catchy we're just thinking about. So we were trying to find parables or stories that related to foxes, like the fox and the gingerbread man and all those kind of stuff. So I went to Google, and it was just dumps of information. And so I typed in ChatGPT, give me 5 parables about foxes. Boom. Immediately gave me 5 different parables from all over the world on foxes, parables, foxes, and how they relate to sales. It blew me away. It's not so.
Yeah, it is not so.
I'm a fanboy.
A little bit. We can tell.
Now, look,
Yeah.
there's going to be folks that argue about these. I'm sure English teachers are going to say that's a problem. I know, at my daughter's school, as an example, there's a challenge. She goes to a university up in Providence, and there's a challenge right now with kids writing their term papers totally on ChatGPT and Jasper. I've always been a big believer. One of my biggest arguments, from the educational system, is that they don't teach personal finance in high school, but they teach, but we're still learning how to draft on a drafting table, not even AutoCAD sometimes, right? And the way I look at things is the kids got to learn how to use the tools that are going to be available to them as they move forward, right? So if making papers with with ChatGPT is what it is, you should still have them citing the originating referencing material, that kind of stuff to elaborate to it. But it is the way people are going to write a lot of this.
It just is.
Future, and this AI concept comes into many different things, right? The machine learning aspects, the AI aspect, machine learning helping guide how things can self-correct and self-work. I mean, really, when you think about it, the self-healing properties of RMMs that have been going back to the early 2000s are an element of AI, because they see a service stopped and they go, oh, I got a rule that tells me now I should try to turn this on. And if I don't turn it on in 3 tries, let me let somebody know, right? That was kind of the precursor to this. And there's so many little routines that you can run through this process. From a sales and marketing perspective, all day long, writing better email copy, writing better subject lines, getting to the point quicker, which a lot of us salespeople struggle with. That's really where this stuff, sings from a sales and marketing standpoint.
Yeah. I think I'm going to look into your Jasper one, Brian. So if that's more geared towards sales and marketing, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
You're not going to pull me away from ChatGPT for like the coding stuff.
I'm not looking to pull anybody away from anything.
I do think I agree with somebody who says that this ChatGPT is a more powerful Google for collating stuff. It was, because I did it both, and it was a better option there for sure.
And there's many AI tools out there. I reference Jasper just because it's the one I first fell into, and it seems the most evolved for marketing writing. But yeah, to your point, it's not going to do what ChatGPT can do in terms of coding. And you're seeing a lot of the tools out there are starting to integrate the ChatGPT engine and API into some of their responses. And that's one of the things that we look at too. Can we feed ChatGPT with like our questions and our assessments so they can generate a better note right away, so the end user doesn't have to do it? But time will only tell if those kind of things are really going to work and where this goes. I'm like you, Rob. I think it's going to have a major impact on the world. like anything, I'm always like, okay, this is a disruptor, but it's going to have its place, right? The iPhone came out and it disrupted my BlackBerry, but it doesn't mean that email inherently changed, right?
Right.
Or, while this does give us better coding thing or, bigger answers, sometimes we just need the Google search, right? So,
Yep.
it's going to have its place. I think what's going to be interesting is seeing where people integrate it into other products to do things to enhance those products. But there is that little fear for me. And dude, I am not a sci-fi guy. I'm not one of those doomsayers, but I am a little worried about how these AI engines can really learn, can really improve what we're doing. And at what point do they understand and start learning from themselves, right? That's the big worry that everybody has.
So,
And
I'm
then
not
we're
going
all
to sit
going to
there
end
and
up
go,
being
it's going to be
batteries.
Armageddon and it's going to be this, but it's like, where is that happy balance in
the answer is there
productivity?
is no happy balance.
No,
We're already too far into it.
One of us is
It's
going to
not
win.
coming back.
we love to consume more as a human
Yeah.
species, right?
Yeah.
So,
But that is a legitimate issue and concern that I have. Like, you look at all these social media platforms and the amount of AI that's running. I mean, it's crazy, right? The way things are generated through different feeds and no two people at the same feed and yada yada. It just, the evolution of it. I mean, there's a reason they do documentaries about how it's a little too aggressive, and here we are getting much more aggressive with it. So that does make me a little nervous. However,
for you Silicon Valley fans, right? The end of that show is based on there's 3 ellipses. I put 4, and figuring out that their AI had outlearned them and cracked whatchamacallit, encryption levels, right? These are the things that people are really worried about. It's like, do they get too smart for their own good, start correcting things, but also start invading privacy? And that's really where that came from. It's more, I'm not worried about the machine uprising. It's more about when do they get to a point where they can't distinguish between what's private and confidential and what's able to be publicly served as part of a search, right?
But look, if you use it right, it's a huge benefit. I mean, it's just for anybody. You talk about, can you imagine if they had this when we were in college?
No.
Yeah. I went out enough. Like, I couldn't imagine like it cut writing a paper by 1/3 or by 2/3. Like, okay, let's do that.
So let's kind of hit with, to close out this session today, let's kind of hit with, 3 things that you're using it for today. And let's try to get a little bit different in the list. So I'll go last on this one. What are 3 things you're using AI for today in your sales and marketing roles? Tim, you want to take first shot?
Yeah, so I would say the 3 that we're seeing it is specifically posts around usually LinkedIn. I mean, we all know in this community, LinkedIn is kind of where it's at. Posts around LinkedIn, email templates for salespeople. They could be much more concise, much more articulate with them. And I'd say the 3rd is just generally, I mean, God, maybe not from a salesperson aspect, but I can tell you just from creating content. You talk about the sales and marketing side. For us, creating content, it's saved us a lot of time. And I would say the articles that we write or the things that we write specifically for sales maturity are better for it. So those are probably the 3 things that we either see a trend or are using it for.
Rob, anything you want to add from your seat on what you're using it for?
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I'm using it for 2 main things in my communication styles: changing my tone quickly, and having something help me change my tone in my letters. And I am that bullet point style fella. I just am. And using it to make it readable for other people. So I'm using it to be more concise when I see things that are written with too much fluff, and then I'm also using it to change my style of writing and making it more conversational and informative and upbeat instead of factual, which is the way that I write. I am a factual writer. And so that's the two things that I really like using it for.
So on my side, I'm using it to improve content that I do have to write directly. So if I'm, as I look at things like our product pages on our websites, our landing pages, things like that, I'll take the content that I originally wrote and I'll put it through the content improver so I can get it with maybe a little bit different, as you said, Rob, tone and style. So, I'm using it to upgrade existing content that we have and then, match it up against keyword word searches. I'm using it for better email subject lines in our weekly emails as well. I am the worst at writing subject lines. I just can't seem to captivate any attention on that. I don't have that knack, and this has really helped us do that. And then the third thing I'm really enjoying it for is what I mentioned a little bit earlier, and I apologize for being redundant, but being able to really just put together prompts so I can give this to my virtual administration team. So now they can take the time, because even though these things save a ton of time, if you want to write 10 blog articles, you still got to wait for them to generate and you got to go through the edit process. And now they're able to get these together, kind of pass them back to me as a group and then, go through there. So those are my three things that I'm loving, really about it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So with
Yeah,
that,
I think it's an amazing tool, and it's not going away.
It is.
So you better get on board. It's going to be a paradigm shifting technology improvement. I really believe that.
Like any shakeup, the underlying technology will be there. The names will change. That who's driving, the bus in terms of being the best at any given time.
Yeah.
Hopefully, ChatGPT is Google and it's not Ask Jeeves.
Yeah. Very true.
Although
Very
Ask
true.
Jeeves got us Google, right? So
that's right.
Yeah, it was stepping stool.
The MySpace.
Hey, Brian, how much is Jasper? Or not? Now you got me say, Jasper. How much is that?
Jasper, I think I'm paying like $70 a month. They may have increased their pricing. I know I was an
but
early
in that
adopter.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, I was an early adopter in this tool, so I may have favored nation pricings at this point.
Just like in that neighborhood, though.
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. What I could say though is I've probably had it about a year now, and I have seen immense upgrades in the last 3 months within this platform where they've really given templated format for you to go do a lot of work. So I'm really pleased with the direction of the organization too. Seems like they're doing some
definitely
good
have
stuff.
to check that out. That may be a better fit for us and what we're trying to do. And just leave this for other stuff. Well, fellas, that's about it for us for today. Any closing thoughts, Tim or Brian?
No, not from my end. I mean, I guess the only thing I would say is basically what you said. Just it's here to stay. You might as well jump on board.
That's right.
And
Hopefully
we all.
And
I'll say for all you preppers out there, get your rooms filled up because the machine uprising will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We're all going to end up either blotting out the sun or becoming batteries or something. If But anyway, fellas, it's been a great one. I love this kind of nerdy stuff. And that's about it for us today.
All right.
Have a great time, fellas.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.
All right, see ya.